Okay, this week's Torah portion is called Vayishlach. And it is the continuation of the story, the tribulations and adventures of Yaakov. Yaakov, the third of the three fathers of Judaism, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Yaakov now is meeting up with his brother. His life is full of problems, right, Yaakov? Yaakov, he was born and ended up that he came out the second, so his older brother Esau thought he had the rights to the blessing, and he had to use trickery in order to, Yaakov's mother, Rivka, had to use trickery in order to get the blessings for his son, and then Esau wanted to kill him, and then he ran away to his crooked brother, uncle's house, Lavan, and Lavan tricked him into working for 20 years for a thing that essentially he didn't have to work anywhere near as long. And finally he got out, and now he's meeting up with his brother Esau, who has been waiting all this time to kill him. So he meets up with his brother Esau. All of a sudden his brother Esau, he sort of changes his mind last second. But before that, it says that Yaakov sends these messengers. He says, go to my brother Esau and tell Esau that all this time, I've been 20 years, I've been living with Lavan, and that the Lavan Garti, I've been living with Lavan. Garti, in Lavan Garti. Garti. So the letters Garti can be rearranged to be Teriag, which Teriag is the numerical value of 613. Taf Resh Yud Gimel. Taf is 400, and Resh is 200, and Yud is 10, and Gimel is 3, altogether 613. In other words, to tell him, Garti are the letters Teriag, and Rashi explains, so what would we care what the letters are? He is saying, Divrei Rashi, in Lavan Garti, and Rashi says, Teriag mitzvah shamarti. And Rashi, who is the main explainer of the Torah, he says that Lavan Garti and Teriag mitzvah shamarti. He's telling his brother Esau, he's sending these messengers or angels to Esau, give him a message. I've been living with Lavan and I've been keeping all the commandments. Divrei Rashi elu tonim havhara. Says the Rebbe, we have to understand exactly what is Rashi getting at over here. Ketzad b'kol zed mishtalev pirusho apashut b'mila garti shu b'momen geros im drusha shel teriag. Again, like we were learning in the morning, that there's four different levels of, at least four different levels, four general levels of every sentence and every idea in the Torah. There's what's called the Pshat and the Remez, the Drush and the Sod. The Pshat is the simple meaning. And in that, there's all these other meanings which are hidden behind it. But the simple meaning is pretty simple. It doesn't really require any explanation. Esau is looking for his brother. He hasn't seen him for 20 years. And now it's actually longer. It says that he ran away. He was 14 years in the house of Shem and Aver. So he hasn't seen him for 34 years, whatever. And he says, where you been? So he said, I've been living with Lavan. Rashi says the word living, Garti, it means 613. What do you have to explain it for? It's pretty simple what he said. He said, I've been living with Lavan. Does that require a question? Now, there's also a general principle that Rashi is the first letters of Rabbeinu Shalom Yitzchaki. As Rashi lived about, 900 years ago, something, 800, 900 years ago. He said, he only explains things in a simple meaning of the Torah. He only explains things that a 5-year-old child would ask. A 5-year-old child would, because from 5 years old, you start learning the Chumash. So a 5-year-old child would ask, what does this mean? So here, Who would ask a question? It says clearly that Yaakov said to his brother, "In Lavan Garti." Esav, I want you to know I've been living with my uncle Lavan for all these years. Pretty simple. What it has to be explained. And also, how does the word Garti, that I've been living with him, how does that imply somehow or other that he's been keeping the 613 commandments? Good, it's the same words. But what does it mean? Number 2 question. L'shem ma haya al Yaakov l'hodia le'esav al shmirat teriag mitzvot. Let's say it does mean that. Good, and he did do that. Why did he have to let Esav, his brother, know that he has been doing all the commandments by over there by Lavan? Says I've been keeping all the commandments. He should have said something like, "Listen, I've been by Lavan and I've learned a lot of secret methods of sorcery and self-defense. And now I have new friends over there, and you better watch out. You know, Lavan's a very powerful guy, and he's my family, and I have all these sons also. I got these 12 sons. You know, all of them are really, you know, how do you say, serious fellows. So don't mess with me." No, he says, I have been doing the 630 commandments. That's going to impress Esav. Esav cares if you've been doing the commandments or not. Esav wants to kill his brother. Say something that's relevant to stopping him from murdering you. Right? I'm telling you to do the commandments that you put on, you know, 2 pairs of, some guy robs you in the middle of the night. You say, "Listen, I put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. I put on 2 pairs of tefillin. I want you to know that what does he care what you do?" Question number 3. Heichan tamuna kan hora'ah Torah l'tekufatenu. Where is here a teaching for our time? The word Torah means teaching. Hora'ah. What can we learn from this really strange story? The Rebbe says, now I'm going to explain this whole thing to you. Listen to this. Im Lavan Garti Kolin in Lavan Arami. Yaakov was saying, I lived with Lavan. Everything that Lavan had, a chafetzim, a gashmi, all the physicality that he had, a whole olam. Shur v'chamur tzorn ve'ev shivcha. I've got cows, oxes, and donkeys. Those were the commodities. That was like money back then. Tzorn ve'ev shivcha. Those were really short on richness of a person. Kulam hayu legabi Yaakov bebechinas gerus. By me, they were just garti. They were only temporary. Zarim hayuli ein elo me'inyanim shel Yaakov elu inyanim shel Yaakov Avinu. Said he had all this money. Lavan, he had power. He had popularity. I married his daughters. Right? I married his daughters. You should know that everything that he has and all the pull that I have, all the connections that I made, mean absolutely nothing to me. It's of the Lavan Garti. Everything that he has means absolutely zero. I don't really care anything about it. Dido, Rak Neshama v'Torah v'Mitzvot, Beintayim lo ukrovim elav. Said, only thing that's really important to me is the Torah and the commandments. That's all I care about. What does Esav care about that? We'll see. There's also another sentence in this week's Torah portion that says pretty much the same thing. What does it say? It says that Yaakov built for himself a house, and for his flocks, which he had a lot of flocks and a lot of sheep, a lot of cows, oxes, for them he made sukkot, he made booths. Later on it says this. What does the Torah have to tell us this? What do we care what type of a house he had and how he took care of his animals? He didn't put his animals into the house. What does it mean? Lo la'atzmuto, to him, to his essence, hanashama, namely the real essence of who Yaakov is, namely his soul and everything in it. Bana behechin dirat kava, him keva. For his soul, his real self, he made a permanent dwelling, namely the Torah and the commandments that he did. And the mikneu, but for his possessions, call a kanuilo, everything that he owned, the nos of alatzmuso, that's in addition to himself, because the soul as on its own will be yichud, especially when the soul is above, it does not need anything in the world. Rak babol lamata, only when the soul comes below, we're on the top of the next line, that's right. Then koneh mikneo, then does it take possession, like an additional thing to himself. Hagashmi is the physical world. Osa sukos diras arai. He makes a temporary dwelling for himself. In other words, what's he saying? That Yaakov is telling to Esav, listen, you have a big thing about this world. It says Esav used to steal, he used to take women from under the wedding canopies. Was a not nice person, but he was very, physically, he was very intimidating, very successful. He had power, he had whatever. So Yaakov is now meeting up with Esav. And he's saying to Esav, instead of saying to Esav, listen, I got some secret weapons, you better watch out for me, I know sorcery, I know this. He said, I care really very little about this world. The world is important, but it's nothing, nowhere near as important as the soul. The soul is the main thing. And that's what I really care about. And that's what he's telling Esav. What is he telling Esav this for? We'll see. Kavod Kadosh is more more. The previous Rabbi Siper, said, in one of his sichot, in one of his speeches that he gave, said the Maggid of Mezrich said that when you're in your house, it's different. What's the story? Somebody said that they had trouble with the world, whatever. So the Baal Shem Tov sent this person to the Maggid of Mezrich, who was his pupil. He went to the Maggid of Mezrich, and the Maggid said, the Baal Shem Tov sent me over here to see how you live. I see that you're living, your conditions are terrible. He said, well, because I'm on the road. I'm on the road. When you're on the road, it's different. He said, you're on the road. What do you mean? This is your house. This is where you live. He said, oh, no, in my house is totally different. My house, everything has to be perfect, has to be the best quality of this. He says, where's your house? The house is the spiritual. That's my house. He says, this thing that I have here where I live, that's only temporary. How long is a person in this world? He's in the world for 100 years, whoever. That's only a temporary dwelling. But the soul is the main thing. Not only that, in a deeper sense, this whole world is being created all the time. It's only temporary. The soul, when it does Torah and commandments, is attached to Hashem. So that's more eternal. So he says, Kol Adam Munyan, everyone is interested, Shebeito Yeh Molei Kol Tov. Everyone's interested that his house should be really nice. But when I'm just traveling, you go to a hotel, doesn't have to be the best hotel. We're only staying there for a night. We are now on the road. So we can understand what it means. Garti, Garti means a temporary dwelling. Sheken rak mitoch hazarot, the gashmiot, only by being, what do you say, a little bit removed from the physicality of the world, mit asherev, it makes it possible, shmira midukdeket, an exact, how do you say, protection, shalateri ag mitzvot, and I'm sorry, exact, in this case, shemira means to observe. The exact observance of the 613 commandments, mibeli shetevel mula'o yafiu lakach, so that the world and everything in it won't disturb you. What's the big problem in this world? What's the big problem in this world? The big enemy to Judaism. What's the big enemy to Judaism? The big enemy to Judaism is the world and ourselves. What's the biggest friend of Judaism that there can be? The world and ourselves. Hashem purposely put us into this world because the world is the best place you can possibly be. Here there's work, here you can make Hashem happy. But on the other hand, the world is also very how do you say, elusive and disappointing and false. The world can really trick a person. It feels so good to make money, you just want to make more money. It feels so good to eat, so people just want to keep eating. It feels so good, people give you say a good word to you, you're just looking for attention all the time. The world can really make a person do the opposite of what he himself, the person himself, knows is what's good to do. The person himself. So the world can be our biggest enemy. The world makes you angry, the world makes you sad, the world makes you depressed, the world makes you lustful, the world makes you forget who you are, makes you destructive, it makes you addictive. That's what the world does. So some people say, you know what, let's just forget about the world. It says in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, a person could say, hey, I got it all figured out. This world is just a big phantom. I'm not going to get married. I'm not going to live in a house. I'm not going to this. And you do a thing like that, and God helps you. You just live in a house, you don't have a job. Hashem makes it that, wow, look at this, I found a can of sardines in a garbage can, and there's a sardine left in there. Wow, it's a big miracle. It's a big day, right? So you don't have any children, you don't have any wife, you don't have any problems, right? You don't have any problems whatsoever. You go into the, wash up in the mikveh once in a while, and so you don't need a shower. You don't have to have anything, right? And so you feel this is the most wonderful life. Why didn't I think about this? You don't have to spend any money. Yeah, you don't have to spend any money. Once in a while you find like a dime on the street or something, you find something, and then you can go and sit on the streets and you beg. People give you money. It's just wonderful, the most wonderful life in the world, Until you have a problem. What happens when you get old? You die. So, okay, don't worry about that. But that's your only problem. You don't have your wife yelling at you. You don't have the kids making trouble. They don't call you down to the police station because your son did something. They don't call you down to school because your son didn't show up. Right? No problems with no next door neighbors. There's always going to be some problems. Somehow or other somebody else is going to want to move into your shed with you or something to take it over. But generally speaking, that's the ideal life. Not to have any troubles or any problems. Or you can go, if you want to the Far East, get some money, and that becomes like you'll be a priest. As a priest, the highest of the highest. What does he do? He doesn't eat, he doesn't sleep, he doesn't have a wife, he doesn't have children. This is a holy of holies. This is the best thing in the world. He doesn't have a house, he doesn't have any troubles, he doesn't have any worries. He's always happy, he's always smiling, right? No matter what you do. Right? No matter what happens to him, you can't steal anything from him. So if so, there's the ideal life. Nobody knocks into his car. He doesn't have to worry about getting traffic tickets. Nobody cuts him off on the street. He doesn't have a car, doesn't have a house, doesn't have anything. Says the Rebbe, this is not the way to live. But on the other hand, you should have your person. Everybody should be rich. You should have a house. You should have a wife. Have children. This, but that should not get you there. There must be something much higher than just your own personal comfort or discomfort. There has to be that you are serving the Creator of the universe, and as such, the world is not going to get you down. You have to raise the world up. What Rashi says, Shekain Rag mitocha zaros. The Gashmi is that only garti means a temporary dweller. Garti means somebody just passing through. Only by looking at the world in a temporary way will you be able to really do the 613 commandments in a proper way, knowing that the same one who is giving you the commandments is the same one that's creating all this money and creating all this comfort and creating all these pleasures, and it says, and the mitzvahs are much greater. Gimel. You know what to make it even more. When a person knows that the physical world is only a temporary place, is only living here temporary, not only does it not interrupt or disturb a person from his spiritual side, which everyone must have a spiritual side, very important, and everyone does have a spiritual side, that's their soul. Ella Sharuchnius, the spiritual side of him, af notenet et ashpat bagashmius. Not only does the world not disturb him, which that's already a level, that's already an accomplishment, but even more, he has an effect on the world. Until the physical world actually becomes spiritualized and meaningful. The world becomes transparent. You see godliness in everything that there is. How can I use this door to serve God? How can I use these glasses to serve God? How can I do this? This is being created by God. How can I use it to serve God? If so, you're bringing the Creator into everything. You start to realize one big problem is people think that God is something that they sort of understand. So if you see God through everything, it's like, you sort of become like spaced out a little bit, or a little bit sort of your eyes shine, or you're like different from everybody else, right? Not necessarily. We don't know what God is, but we do know that God does some amazing things. He creates the world. He gave us the Torah. The Jews are special people. Every single detail of the world is creating. So in other words, God is not like what we think He is, or like what they think in the Eastern religions. You see God and you just become this big or something. Exactly. It makes you, what do you say, turns you on to the world, to what the really world is. That's what he says. Zu gam hashmash mosa sima pasuk vayehi li shor v'chamor. That's what Yaakov said to Esav. I have oxes and donkeys, tzon ve'eved shivcha, and sheep, and men servants and maid servants. Hadavar nagashma, the physical things that I have, they are mine. They belong to me. I don't belong to them. Hem nechshavu keshayechim latzmuto shel Yaakov ve'enyani ha'ikari. The physical world belongs to me, not I to it. Like I remember, it was a long time ago, I used to have this neighbor, when I lived in America, in Detroit, I had this neighbor across the street from me that he had two cars. One was a Plymouth, one was a Chrysler, and they were really nice cars. The fact is, they really looked nice. And one of them was like red, and the other one was jet black, and they were convertibles, and he used to polish these things up, like religiously, like 3 times a day. Instead of Shachris, Mincha, and Maariv, he would go and polish the cars up.
He wasn't Jewish.
No, he was not Jewish. He got such tremendous pleasure. Not that a Jewish person is not able to do that, but on the other hand, a Jewish person usually only does it because he sees the non-Jews do it, so he wants to do it, also. This guy got such an essential pleasure from his cars, and he would like shine them up, and he had this special wax that he would shine them up, and then he would wipe them, and then he would put another type of special wax, and then he would turn them on, and he would drive around the street, and put the car down, and the upholstery was like white in one of them, and it was like blue in the other one, something, and wow, he really, and he just put these lights on the bottom, and he drove around the street, and I remember this tremendous, amazing pleasure that he got out of the car, to the point where I was thinking, listen, who owns who? He owns the cars, or the cars own him? And one day I remember I came outside and one of the cars got in an accident. It had knocked off, the whole right side was all smashed in or something like that. And I just saw him just looking around, not knowing what to do, How could I wax this thing away, just walking around. Until finally, in the end, I think they just sold their house. It could have been because of the car, I don't know what it was. But he just sold it. He didn't even used to say hello or anything, maybe a little bit, but the main thing was his cars. He was just, so the world owns you. It's not that you own the car.
So then, why does this become an important message for Esav?
Oh, we'll see. Bias Mashiach, the Daled, the Midrash, and the Midrash on the pasuk Vayehi li shor v'chamor tzor v'shivcha. It says Chamor. This is the Melech HaMashiach. Like it says, Ani v'ruch al Chamor. That Yaakov said to his brother, I have oxes and donkeys. The donkey is the donkey that the Mashiach is going to ride on. Be it the Mashiach coming to Lui depends on Avodat HaBirurim. It depends on our refining the world. Kolomar al yedei kach, by means of this, that all of the Jewish people that every single Jew refines his own soul and his own animal soul and his own body and everything in the world that is around him, using everything. By means of this, it draws down the future revelations of the Mashiach. That's the meaning of the attachment between what Lavan Garti, and I dwell temporarily with Lavan, and I have an ox and a donkey that belongs to me. I own the world, not the world owns me. Mishum shalagah b'Yaakov by Yaakov hoyu devarim agashmim b'chinas gerus. By Yaakov, the physical world was only like a temporary dwelling. V'shimshu kelim, what does it mean? The world became vessels, v'dira, and a dwelling for the Creator. Garti. Hayahu mitzido muchan lekabbalat p'nei Mashiach. Yaakov himself was already ready to receive the Mashiach. V'chamur, that's the Melech HaMashiach. That's what he was telling to Esav. Listen, Esav, you're doing pretty good in the world. You're a strong guy. You get anything you want. You do anything you want. You say anything you want. Everybody likes you. Everybody respects you. Everybody's afraid of you. Everybody this. But you should know I had that stuff also. I was by loving. I could have had all that. I married his daughters. By me, there's something much, much more important and much greater than Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. Something totally, and you can understand this also. Esav was his twin brother of Yaakov, twin brothers. And therefore, Shalach Malachim, therefore he sent these angels or messengers to Esav. Lodia, to let him know, Asher Birurim Mutalas Alav, to let him know that I suffered in the house of Lavan. And I have purified, I've done my job. I purified the world is pure on my side, and now I've done what I had to do. I've got a lot of merits. Now I am ready for the coming of the Mashiach. Mitoch hanacha shegam Esav, because he thought, why did he send these angels to Esav? Because he thought that Esav was also ready. He wasn't trying to scare or intimidate Esav. He wasn't trying to tell him, don't mess with me because you don't know who I am. He was trying to tell him exactly the opposite. I know that you want the Mashiach to come. I know that you want that there should be a good world. Don't fool me. I know who you are. You're running after ladies, after this, after money, after power, after this. I know what you really want, deep down inside. You want the Mashiach to come. That's what you want. If so, said Yaakov, I'm certain that you have already done the work. All this news that I've heard about you and these bad things are not true, or maybe they were true and you've changed your mind, you've become a different person, and therefore I'm sending you these angels to tell you that I have donkeys and oxes and everything, I fixed it all up. I fixed up my part. But Tshuva came, Esav sent back, Bano el achicha Esav, the angels came back to Yaakov, right? Yaakov sent these angels to his brother, Esav. Come the time, we're going to fix the world up. The world is fixed. I've done my job, you've done your job, right? The angels come back to Yaakov and they say, Nishlachol yircha lachicha. We were sent by you to your brother, right? Because you thought that he was like him, that he's prepared for the redemption. Aval, but, said the angels that came back to Yaakov, maybe you better sit down. Because Esav is the same disgusting egotist as he always used to be. Not disgusting, he's a popular egotist. Therefore, can't do it. We want to bring Mashiach, we want to fix up the whole world. At the time of Yaakov, the world had already been in darkness for 2,000, whatever it is, 200 years, something, right? Been a long time since Adam ate from the tree. The world was in a terrible situation. We can fix the whole thing up, says Yaakov. We'll fix it all up. Okay, Esav, what do you say? We're going to do it together? Esav said, tell him to drop dead.
What are you talking about?
Right. Esav said, I have absolutely no intention of getting rid of the world. Exactly the opposite. I've worked so hard so that I got my place in the world. I can get pleasures whenever I want, power whenever I want. I got everything I want. Everything that I want, I've got. Now you're going to tell me to drop the whole thing for what you want? For what God wants? Not going to do it. HaTorah v'horotel and nitzchus. The Torah and its teachings are eternal. L'chol ben Yisrael, to every single Jew. B'kol zman b'kol makom, every time and every place. V'zu hara anovas mikol amor. This is our teaching. Al Yehudi Ladat, a Jew must know. Shegam im bebechinat hasaviva, that even if the world around him, mibechinat ha'olam, so whether his area around him, even the whole world, lo ra'ui is not ready, is not fitting, a dayan. Shetavo ha'geula, that the Mashiach should come, ki lo hushlam birurim, because the refinement of the world is not yet begun. Harihu mitzad atzmo, chayav lehechin et atzmo, ve'et yanyanov, tzon ve'abed v'shivcha, legula shlema. You have to do your part. Don't look around. You wanted a little bit of help. Everybody disappointed you. Okay, it happens. You thought maybe you'd have some partners. Everybody, how do you want to call it? They let you and left you in the dust. Okay, not uncomfortable. It's very, disappointing. But that's life. You have to keep on doing your job. Hachana hi im lavan garti. Hayadia barura. You have to know clearly. Asher kol olam. This and a whole entire world is only ger anochi. It's not really the permanent, real world that you think it is. It's only a creation. Kol achayim, all of your life, shall yamei, shanatav behem shivim shana, gevura shmoni shana. A person's whole life, it could be 70 years, 80 years, 100 years. Even if it's 120 years. It's only a temporary dwelling. You're only here temporarily. Fa'az ein agashmis, then the physical world will not make hafra l'ruchnis. It will not disturb your spiritual service, your Jewish service. V'gam ba shefa gashmi shur v'chamor, and not only that, it'll be good. There'll be oxes and donkeys and sheep. Ever v'shivcha kamashmo. Hashem wants to bless you. He wants to bless. He wants to do good. Don't think not. But you have to let him do it. Be open. Kol l'chaim shel yamei shana, that? Yes. When a person prepares himself and everything that he is involved with for the future redemption, and again, what will happen in the future redemption? That the whole world will act in the way the Creator wants it to act. Right? It's pretty. You go and you buy yourself a new car, right? And the car doesn't work. So you bring it in, and the person says, "Listen, I don't understand what's going on. I paid $20,000 for this car, and it doesn't work." Right? And the person who sells it to you says, "So I don't understand. I mean, there's just, the ignition doesn't work. But everything else works. You got the car, they got the wheels work, and the motor works. Everything works. Right? Just one little tiny thing, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And so what do you care?" He says, well, the fact is I do care. If you prepare yourself, and everything of his then it goes to the whole entire world. What are we talking about? Hashem, when he gives, he wants to give something complete. He wants to give to you. Hashem wants to give good to everybody. But, first of all, you have to make yourself into a vessel. Hashem wants to give, he doesn't want to give you an incomplete world. A world where there's still problems and difficulties. He wants the world to be perfect. It can start with you. But you have to not pay attention to the imperfections. And what's especially hard if the imperfections happen to you. But that's what we can learn from Yaakov. Yaakov happened all these things that were not good. He's been working 20 years for his brother, for his uncle, cheated him all over, but he figured it's all worth it. Because I'm doing my part and Esav is doing his part. Finally they met up, said, "Esav, am I glad to meet you? I've been working over there and I've done the work that I've done. I finished serving Hashem, my half. What about you?" And he said, "I don't want anything to do with you." So Yaakov should have said, "That's it. I worked for nothing. I did my part. It's terrible." No. Instead of passing, there's no one to accept the pass. So he ran with the ball. What are you going to do? He did what he could. Because the whole world, you should know, is always balanced equally. And if you just do one good deed, or say one good word, even one good thought, you can tilt the whole world for good, and you can bring the whole entire redemption, and everybody will be benefited. That's the idea of the redemption. What's the idea of the redemption, the future redemption? That the world will be in working order. It won't be like a car that everything works, just the ignition doesn't work, or just one piston doesn't work, or something. The world, that's the whole idea of the future redemption. The world will be in working order. What happens when the world is in working order? Same thing, what happens when your car is in working order? You can do things with it. You can go to places with it, you can drive things, you can bring back the groceries, you can do things you couldn't usually do. When the whole world is healthy, then all the potential of each and every individual comes out, and there's intense, incredible potential in the world. Right now they're finding out there's these like tribes in Africa that they thought these people were like, ants or dogs or something like that. They were like subhumans. All of a sudden they realize there's people there that are geniuses. And that there's people over there that they really care, and there's people that they become doctors and lawyers, and they go back and they help. They invent things to purify water, to make healing, to make this, to get rid of the, right? You have any idea what potential there is in the people that live in Africa, right? The natives that live in Africa. Then everybody figured, even nowadays in the United Nations, they're subhuman. A couple million people die in Liberia, not even worth talking about. This is sick. You understand? This is a sick world. The world we're in is really sick. Mashiach is going to make the world that's going to be healthy, so that every human being in the world, no matter all the write-offs that the United Nations, they don't care about them, right? All of a sudden you're going to see that, no, the potential is intense. But the Mashiach is going to be the one that's going to bring out all this potential. So what are we going to do to bring Mashiach? Says the Rebbe, you do one more good deed, one more good word. It could tilt the whole thing. You have no idea how Hashem makes it, but Hashem wants it to be good. Like the Rambam says.
Are you here? Yeah.
So the Rambam says, Yisrael shosim tshuva, if the Jewish people do tshuva, miyad nigalim, immediately they are redeemed. Admor Azakin, the Alter Rebbe adds on, take of miyad immediately. This whole wonderful utopian world that we're talking about, that the potential of every individual will be revealed, that this can happen in 1 second. Zotamer, this means shebeliha bet lamatzav olam, that without looking at the situation of the world, hari al yedei tshuva, by means of doing tshuva, by means of everyone simply returning to his essence, to his purpose, why he's in the world, to think, why am I here? To return to who you really are. Yochla adam lepol geula, a person can bring geula pratit ba'atzmo, he can bring a redemption on his own. Al yedei zeh, by means of this gam, also the geula klalis, he can bring a redemption to the whole entire world. We have no idea how important we are. The call in Yanim Heim Hari B'Hashgacha Pratis. Everything there is on Hashgacha Pratis. Gulat Adam Ad Murazakin V'Chasidus Yutes Kislev Tav Kuf Nun Tet. What happened in Yutes Kislev back there? What was it? A little bit more than 200 years ago. Ira B'Shavua Sha'achre Parshas Vayishlach. It happened after the Parsha of Yishlach, like this year. There is all of these teachings that we're talking about. Para, that Lavan, I live temporary with Lavan, all the things that Lavan controls. By me, they're just temporary. Something by me is much more meaningful. HaChassidut notenet l'kol echad miYisrael. Chassidut gives to every single Jew the power, efsharut, and the ability, opportunity, lebilti yitchashev im matzavo shel ha'olam mesaviv, not to reckon with what's going on in the world. Everything is terrible. God forbid there were Jews in the Holocaust. Everything was awful. No reason to live. And they succeeded, and they got out, and they did wonderful things. Lahashlim ba'atzmo hu avodat im lavan garti. Everyone can finish himself the service of im lavan garti, that the whole world should be a temporary dwelling. And it should be that the whole world should bring to what's called the chamor, the donkey of the Melech HaMashiach. Chassidus is the preparation, like we're learning in the morning, and it is the vehicle to bringing the Mashiach. By means of what? By means of teaching these ideas, Yefutzu Meinatecha Chutza, spreading out the well springs of Chassidut outward. Nizke leka'atimar b'meiro mamish. By means of spreading the ideas of Chassidut out, is that this is what will bring the Mashiach. What is the connection between the two? I mean, one way, of course, it's very miraculous. People are going to learn these ideas, and it's going to bring Mashiach. What's one guy did to the other? Mashiach is going to change the whole entire world. It's going to change people that have no idea what Judaism is. How is it that if I learn these ideas in this book, this is going to change the whole entire world? So the simple answer is a little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. But another answer is we don't know how things work in the world. How things work in the world. Let's just, you can imagine. Let's say they all got together, Trump and Putin, whatever, and they all said, listen, we're doing the 7 Noahide commandments. God is one. You can imagine what an effect that would be in the whole world. It could be in one moment that everyone in the world says, is this really true? Putin and Trump and whatever it is, Johnson, whoever the guy is going to be over there in England, he says that they all say that there's one God and this God creates everybody and that we all should do the 7 Noahide commandments. And they're all trying to institute this in all their institutions. And everybody starts to wonder what's going on. I thought these people believed in the church and what's going on. People start to get interested. The whole world could turn around in 1 minute. All the news started advertising it. The whole news of the whole world would see it. Right? That these people decided they're doing the 7 Noahide commandments. It's not unfeasible that this could happen. Right? And the leaders of whatever is Saudi Arabia, all the Shiites and the Sunnis, and they say, listen, we made a big mistake. Right? We made a mistake. We realized that we've been killing each other and killing other people for the wrong reasons. This is not right. We misinterpreted the whole entire thing. So did Muhammad. Misinterpreted all the Torah and all the what reality is and what good is. And come on, let's just worship the Creator. And everybody do it, right? Here we see Putin is doing it, we're going to do it.
$64,000 question is, the leaders, they need Mashiach, they come out, they make statements like this. How will the rest of the LBGT people react?
Everybody. That was the point of the Rebbe's speech. These people know inside of themselves, these LGBTQ, whatever it is, they know inside of themselves that what they're doing is not for their benefit. But they just think there's no other alternative. They have urges, and they're unusual, right? Everybody has their unusual urges. Like the Rebbe said, some people bite their fingernails. Some people, they can't stop drinking Coca-Cola. Some people, really, there's people that are addicted to all sorts of things, and they like it. They do it. They know it's not good for them, but that's who they are. Smoking used to be a big one. Maybe it still is. People couldn't stop smoking. They wanted to stop. They couldn't stop. People eat sugar. People are overweight. There's things that people do to themselves and they're not good, but they think there's no alternative. Right? And even when they present them with alternatives, it's very hard for a person to change. It takes a long time for a person to change. But the point is the person knows inside that it's not really the ideal situation for him. Right? These people know inside, they're trying to equate being a homosexual to being, a black. But that's ridiculous. To being a black that's a blessing. It's what God made, right? God made you that way. He gave you certain qualities. To be the homosexual means that you have a desire to do things that are against the Torah. You have a desire to do things that are against the instruction. The manufacturer's instructions. You have a desire to do things that are not productive at best, and they're destructive at normal. There's no children, there's no family, there's no society, there's no this. So in other words, what's the point I'm trying to make? People still have to work on themselves. It's not going to be all of a sudden one day the guy's going to wake up and he says, wow, I don't want to drink anymore. This is really amazing. What happened? It's not that way. Human personality is not something that you can change like you change your socks. It's a thing that a person has to work on it, and it has to be him, his personality. But the point is that people will realize that it's to their benefit. And right? The problem is up to now, homosexuality was looked at as, you got to kill these people. These people are really sick. These guys are really, they have to be shunned. Okay, it's true. They should certainly not educate or instigate or encourage people to walk in the way that they're doing, because that's encouraging doing a sin. But they themselves are unfortunates. They're unfortunates. They have to be, they themselves know that this is not somehow or other good thing. Okay, nowadays in society, it's become such a, davar shuli. It's almost like unimportant. It's like unimportant. I can be a good doctor, I can be a good lawyer, I can be a good this, and I can do this thing. Which is true, it's a point, but still doing this thing is something that somehow or other is damaging to the soul. That's the point. And now, people are not, they're not aware of what a soul is. And even if they are, they don't know what it means, this is good for the soul, this is bad. Who decided that? So it's a thing that has to be dealt with tremendous understanding, but the point of the Rebbe is that all of these people, all the people in the world that are doing things that are against the Torah, don't want to do it. Deep down. They want to stop. Except for those people, that are destructive people, I don't know, Nazis, whoever it was, they enjoy killing and they enjoy destroying and they know that it's wrong and that's all they want. Like the SS used to say, we're here to die and to kill. They're just for destruction. They don't care. That's the mindset. So that's a person that's purely destructive because he wants to be destructive. It says there's all sorts of haftorahs that say that God will smite these people and He will burn them and He will.
So those people will have a problem.
I don't know if they'll have a problem. I don't think they'll want to live in the world like that's all good. The people that are really destructive people, they want to live in a destructive world. They don't enjoy. They wouldn't enjoy it. Would be that would be the biggest hell for them.
I think there's a lot of those people in the world right now.
I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of people that are frustration. Like Viktor Frankl says that if a person doesn't have meaning in his life, that it brings the what is it called? I don't remember the destructive triad or something. Depression, aggression, and addiction. So a lot of aggression that occurs in the world is because people just lack meaning. They don't know why they're here in the world. And so the world just makes them angry. And so you can get a gun and you can shoot. You don't have to be strong. You don't have to do anything. You can get this, And there's certain people that say that it's a tremendous pleasure to do sins, to kill people is a pleasure. There's some people that say...
It seems to me that this evil that was like the Nazis that can't be converted has re-emerged, remorphed to something else.
Let's just do a little bit more because I have to go soon. Okay. All right, we're going to start this off. There's a midrash, and we're going to continue this tomorrow. There's a midrash that says that this donkey that Yaakov talked about, Yaakov, when he went to Esav, he says, I have shor v'chamor, I have oxes and donkeys. So the midrash said, this is the donkey of the Mashiach. Okay, what in the world does the Mashiach need a donkey for? A donkey? How does a donkey get in with the Mashiach?
We're still talking about Vayishlach?
Yes, this is all Vayishlach. No, this is Vayishlach. All this is Vayishlach.
Because he gave donkeys to Esav.
That's this week.
Yeah.
That's Vayishlach. He gives because he didn't meet Esav last week.
Right, but maybe he gave to, okay.
Good. So he has donkeys, right? So he says, he said he sent, right, a gamal and donkeys, yes, he said, right, donkeys and camels over there. So he said, I think, I have to look and see, I don't remember the pasuk again. Okay, so there were three examples of donkeys that are used in the Torah. One of the donkeys was the donkey of Abraham. It says a donkey, when he went to do the Akedah, he had donkeys. Another donkey, it says, is the donkey of Moshe. It says that when Moshe went from Midian, he went to Egypt to take the Jews out, so he had a donkey. And the third donkey is going to be the Melech HaMashiach, who's going to have a donkey. And here in this Sikha, the Rebbe is going to explain what the difference between these three donkeys are and why specifically a donkey. And I'll just give you a little hint. The word for donkey and the word for physicality is the same letters in Hebrew. Chamor. Chomer and chamor are the same exact letters. Just the vav is in a little different place. So chamor means donkey, and chomer means the physical world. So Abraham had a certain relationship with this elevation. He was talking about elevating the world, raising the world up. Right? Avram did a certain job, Moshe did a certain job, and Mashiach will finish this job. What exactly this job is going to be regarding the donkey, we're going to see, God willing, tomorrow.